Hey everyone, it's me, Melissa Wade in the Water, and thank you for tuning in once again. March, of course, is Women's History Month, and we are celebrating all month long with what we call Her Story. So today, Her Story is of the first and only Black female police chief in Raleigh, North Carolina. Y'all already know who I'm talking about. Chief Cassandra Deck Brown is with me today for Her Story. Hi, Chief Deck Brown. How you doing, my sister?
Hello, Melissa. I'm doing well, and I hope that you are.
Absolutely. Can you see the smile on my face? I am
I can.
so honored to have you on today. You are such a great example. You are exactly what Her Story is all about. So thank you so very much for agreeing to be on and being a part of this today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for doing this because I've had an opportunity to listen to a few of her stories, and there have been some just amazing women who have been invited to your show. So, thank you for including me in that number of very powerful. Very encouraging, very inspiring women that you've had on the show. So I'm honored to be a part of it.
Well, you know what? You are in the number of great women, especially when it comes here locally. We are recognizing great women during this month of March, and you are a woman of many first, to be exact, when it comes to the Raleigh Police Department. Let me just go down this list, okay? She is the first Black woman to be promoted as sergeant, the first to command Raleigh's police district, the first to be promoted as major, and of course, the first and only Black female police chief of Raleigh, North Carolina, the capital of North Carolina. Woo! So yes, you are in that number, my sister. So we are proud to have you to be a part of this today. Tell me, all of those first, was that something that you set out to do? Was this a goal? Or did you just knock it down as you know, the obstacles came up, you just knocked them down and this is where you ended up?
Starting out, graduating from college and starting in this career, I didn't see any of that, Melissa. You know, I knew that I wanted to come and serve the big city of Raleigh. I'm from a little small town, Franklin County, and you know, Raleigh was the big place to be. And so to have been elevated in a number of positions over the course of my career has been nothing less than an honor. It has been one of the most humbling experiences that I've ever had. And, and like you said, to be here in the capital city is just, to me, has always been working here has been inspiring to begin with, but then to be in the seat that I sit in, to serve in this capacity, sometimes you have to pinch yourself because it is indeed not only an honor, but it's a reality that I know that, and I believe that hopefully it will serve in a capacity where others can believe that they too have that opportunity, and it can be done.
And to mention pinching yourself, when I first met you personally, I think we met, it was for the first time we were at one of the local churches, and you came in the back and we were kind of like behind the scenes and everything. And when I saw you walk in, I was like, oh my goodness, it's the Raleigh police chief. Oh, and she's a Black woman. I was just so full of joy, and you came over and we greeted each other. And then what you said next just made me say, you know what, I'm a fan. Forget it. You just talked about how much we inspired you and how good God was. And I said, and she's a God-fearing woman too.
Yes,
so you became my sister then, because I knew that Raleigh, the capital, the city of which we live, was being led not only by a knowledgeable woman, a woman of bravery, a woman who has no bars, but also a woman who knows God. So I appreciate you, and we are honored to have you here today.
Oh, thank you. I can't do what I do in any capacity without recognizing God first.
Mm-hmm. Amen. So we're here today to hear your story. That's why we call it Her Story. So look, you've served, I think we talked about it, 33 years in the police force?
Yes.
Whew. Now, it's a tough job. It's a tough job for any gender whatsoever. So what caused you, what made you decide that this was the occupation that you wanted to go into?
I majored in criminal justice in college, in undergrad, and got to the Raleigh Police Department. I knew that that's what I wanted to do because I was inspired actually by another female. I visited my grandparents every summer of my life for the most part through college, and actually watched a Philadelphia police officer handle a call, and decided that as a criminal justice major, and watching her from a distance, because I wasn't really close enough to hear what she was saying to the crowd, but she broke up a disturbance. And I decided then that that's what I wanted to do. And I never saw the lady again. Wouldn't know her if she walked into my office. But she truly inspired me, and I was headed in a criminal justice path, but a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw her in uniform, saw her command that situation, address the crowd, I felt like that was what I truly wanted to do. And shortly after graduation from college, the Raleigh Police Department was hiring. And I figured that I would put my name in that process. And so here I am. One of the questions asked in my interview was, did I see myself as a police chief one day? And the answer was, sure, why not? But I think I was just young and energetic by the idea of having an interview. And so I, sort of went down that path of positivity with just, I think, probably a naive ideology at the time that the sky is the limit. Let's see how far it will go. And, the blessings have been forthcoming.
As they say, you shot for the moon and you landed amongst the stars, didn't you?
I would say so.
Be careful what you say out there in the atmosphere, what you ask for. Now, you talked about the one lady that truly inspired you just by seeing her for that one time, that only time. And you have to know that you are that inspiration to so many women, Black women, white women, women, period. How does it feel to be and to know that you will take in history the very first Black female police chief of Raleigh, North Carolina?
It's an honor more than anything else. It's an honor. I don't take it lightly. There have been moments, and of course, being in this position, your life for the most part is an open book, and most can attest that it's not always a crystal stair. However, you stay grounded in your faith, but you also recognize that the work to be truly positioned in a police officer position, and even more so as the chief, you don't do this for self-serving purposes. The greater service is to mankind. As an officer, we see sometimes the worst and the most horrific, and we see the most vulnerable, and so to me, it's a choice of heart, and it's a calling in that regard. And to live up to that, you also recognize that it's not about you, but it's about those that you serve. And what I hope and I'm reminded of is the potential for other individuals, other women, to be able to step, not necessarily in my shoes, but to step into this place, to have a seat at the table, to sit to sit in the chair. And so I try to be very mindful of that, and hopeful that, and believing that I'm setting an example. And so, to be able to serve as a mentor to people who are in this organization, but across the country, to women who are aspiring to be chief, and other men who aspire to be in similar positions, and to be able to offer guidance and directions and suggestions, and with a belief that if there is a slight possibility that I've helped to pave the way, Then you share the message that avoids potential pitfalls and encourage them along the way. Sometimes you grab their hand and you run with it. Sometimes you push them along the way. Sometimes you pull them. And sometimes you just re-divert them altogether so that they're not going in a direction that, by your own experience, you know that it's probably not going to be the right direction that they need to be headed in.
Well, I can probably say, as many would say, you are an inspiration to many, especially many women, as we celebrate this month. You've paved the way for so many. You've broken the glass ceiling, and we thank you. You were the first. And as you mentioned, we've seen, like you said, your life is an open book. We've seen those obstacles, but I have to say, you have always faced them and come up against them with grace and poise, the kind of woman you are. And with that, what would you say, or how do you, or how have you been able to make your voice be heard in such a dominant occupation and job as an African American and woman at that, to make your voice just be heard?
There is a very old gospel song that speaks to, may the work I've done speak for me. And so, I think that that's where it starts. It's not about, there again, I mentioned, it's not about self, but it's about the work that you do, and allowing and ensuring that the work that you do is just, is ethical, is right. It's not perfect, but that it speaks for your character, it speaks for who you are, it speaks for the vision, the plan that you have set, and the direction that you choose to go in. And by doing that, the messaging is there to some degree. And it then does open up doors and affords me and others to be in places and to have a seat at the table, to then not only have a voice, but to ensure that what you're saying resonates in such a way that you're not only seen, but you are truly heard, and the message is clear. Being in the middle of COVID, all of what we experienced in 2020, the city of Raleigh we went from the 42nd largest city to the 41st largest city. So we grew, and we continue to grow. And what comes with being a major city is the membership, to be in seats at other tables on a national level, on an international level, and there again representing the city of Raleigh, but representing women of color, and representing women in a very, as you mentioned, male-dominated workforce in policing, and having that seat at that table provides credibility for all of us who are serving in this capacity, whether they are a major city or not. But it allows the message, the intentionality, and the reminder that we've earned the right to have the seat at that table as well.
How do you, and I'm just going to get a little personal with you, not too personal, but your job, we know, has major obstacles, and it's probably one of the most, how can it say, people judgmental jobs that people want to say, hey, look, I could have did this, or I could have did this, she should have did this, she should. How do you deal with that, mentally and emotionally and physically, to bring it out? Because of course you're the last voice that everybody hears when it comes to the public.
I think you deal with it in a number of ways. One is I'm reminded every day that I put the uniform on, or if I walk in here in a suit or a dress, whatever the case is, that there are multiple facets to who I am. And, for the most part, in this role, you kind of lose your birth name. You're called Chief, that becomes your title. But there's another part to who I am.
Yeah.
I am what you see. I am an African American. I'm a Black woman, who, is a college graduate 2 times, who, is a parent, who is a grandparent, who is very grounded in her faith, who happens to be a Raleigh police officer, who happens to be the chief of police in Raleigh in the state of North Carolina, and the list goes on there. And the unfortunate piece, I think, that many of us experience, and sometimes in other professions, but specifically to this one, is sometimes people don't look past the uniform. So you never get to see Cassandra. You never get to know who that person is. And, and just as I mentioned all of those different facets that reflect who I am, the reality is we all probably, regardless of our outward appearance, the color of our skin, our gender, our race, our, nation of birth or any of that, is we have a lot more in common than people realize. And so, the other side is the person who prays every morning when she wakes and prays when she goes to bed. And so, and those prayers are global a lot of times. It's not about me, it's about family, it's about friends, it's about those that I know are going through struggles. It's about the men and women of the Raleigh Police Department. It's about the greater city of Raleigh and so forth. And everything else that comes on that list. And so, those walks and talks with God have to happen. In addition to, trying to stay focused and doing the day-to-day role of serving as a chief of police as well, and coming in with an open mind and a positive mind, but I also recognize that while I wear body armor as a police officer, I say my prayer every morning also to ensure that I am walking out with the full armor of God.
You gotta say it. Amen. Amen to that. Don't we all? Amen.
Yes.
Police chief or not, we all should pray about that full armor of God to be totally protected.
Yes.
So let's talk about your next step. You are about to retire. Oh, wow. What do we got to do?
Well, I've in the middle of saying I was going to retire, I agreed to stay on a little while longer as the city is making the next selection for the next chief of police. And so as I do that, I am, it's given me just a little more time to also tie up a few other projects that we have underway here at the police department. And I'm really looking forward to passing off the torch, if you will, to the next chief of police, and really being able to, leave a landing pad, if you will, for that individual, so that person can come in here and lead as well. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So a few more projects that have to be, tightened up and concluded. One is a police academy we are building. We're going from a 12,000 square foot building to a state-of-the-art 60,000 square foot facility. And when I say state-of-the-art, it will be just that. And so being able to see and leave a legacy in some capacities that will show the continuity of training well beyond the years that I had even imagined is critical. And so a few other projects we started an eye care team, which is a team of diverse faith members throughout our community, faith leaders from different denominations, different houses of worship. They all have a common bond, though, and that is to serve in a capacity, and they're volunteers, to serve in a capacity that allows the messaging and the building of relationships between police and the faith community. And I had had really contemplated that for years and made it happen in 2019
Mhm.
and formed it up in 2020. And so it's growing, and now on a national level, there's a weekend in October that's called Faith in Blue, where the movement is to have law enforcement and the faith community work together in various ways to build community. So to have planted that seed before I left, and then this national project comes along, I'm equally excited about that. And in the year of, so many concerns and heartbreak that many of us experienced. And then there were conversations about, reallocating resources and defunding police. We looked at what became so obvious when everybody stayed at home in 2020 were our homeless people who were left on the street. And so we started a program called Acorns, which is a play off the City of Oaks nickname. And it will be a combined team of police and social workers who will really be in a unique capacity in our department to serve in a way that addresses the behavioral and mental health issues that we often see in our homeless community, and looking to see how we can build those resources and connect people either to the resources and or to family members. And so the seed's been planted. We are currently interviewing and hiring for social workers and appointing the officers to be in those assignments. And so there again, another opportunity for a new chief to ride in and see some of the great work that does come out of this place. So, and then at some point when I do finally leave, my hope is that we'll be at a place where COVID will afford me to do some traveling and some vacationing and some of that I really haven't had an opportunity to do. Obviously, some to some degree because of what last year looked like, and I mean nobody was really traveling. But you don't get to take those long leaves as chief, so that will just give me an opportunity to take a deep breath.
Well, good. Well, very good. Those programs sound absolutely wonderful. And you talked about the academy. My final question, since we're going to transition from academy and a young woman listening right now saying, wow, I can be her, I can be somebody like her, and I can get started in the academy. What advice would you give to other women who are seeking opportunities such as yours?
A number of things. One is, yes, it is a male dominated workforce, and we've known that for years. But there are so many opportunities, and we as women bring a whole different perspective to the workforce in any capacity. And I think that in law enforcement, it has afforded me to, in who I am, has afforded me to bring a number of perspectives, not just a woman, but a woman of color. My walk is very different from another woman's walk of color. And recognizing that, and also encouraging young people in particular right now. People spent a lot of time protesting and marching and rallying last year in particular. Well, now, put that energy behind that voice and be a part of the change that you believe really does need to happen. And I do believe that there will be and is a need for change. And having a seat at the table or a spot to stand in the room to be a part of that. Here's that time. And there were a number of young people, men and women across this country and in our city, who walked up and down the streets all summer, who protested, who had a voice. And I took time to go out there and meet some of those young folk to encourage them to follow their dreams. And if they had any inkling or thought about being in law enforcement, now is the time. Now is the time to bring the energy. Now is the time to bring that breath of fresh air that willingness to be and stand in the trenches and truly be a part of what 21st century policing will look like, not just in one department, but globally.
Love it. Well, we're going to continue to enjoy you while you're still here, but we're going to miss you when you're gone. You have served us well. We thank you for being that awesome example of being our police chief here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, everyone, thank you for joining us. Again, Police Chief of Raleigh, Cassandra Deck Brown. This is her story. Thank you, my sister. God bless you.
God bless you, my sister, as well. And I am so honored. So thank you so much. And although I may not be here, my radio is still tuned in to the light.
God bless you. Grace and peace.
Grace and peace.